Have you ever wondered what happens to your body at altitude? I'm Anthony LaRubio from here at Recal Travel, and with the rise of high altitude adventurers around the world, including the incredible people doing things like Everest base camp trekking in the Himalayas, mountain endurance races like the Leadville 100 in Colorado, USA, or also in general as mountaineering continues to increase in popularity, this question of what happens to your body at altitude is brought up over and over again. So, let's talk. For starters, as you climb higher in altitude, there's lower air pressure. So the further you get from sea level, the lower the air pressure. For example, the density, or partial pressure, of oxygen in the air at sea level is about 160 millimeters of mercury. That's the unit that you use to measure pressure. In contrast to that 160 at sea level, on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, for example, which is the highest peak in Africa at about 19,300 feet or 5,900 meters, the partial pressure of oxygen there is less than half of that at sea level, at only 78 millimeters of mercury. Again, that's 49% of the oxygen pressure at sea level. So obviously, this lack of oxygen availability presents a big challenge for your body. For example, every single breath that you take as you climb, there's less oxygen in that volume of air. So you can start to feel breathless. You can start to feel lightheaded, or a strong headache, or feel extremely fatigued yet have no appetite. In order to protect yourself, your body will begin to take action. One way it does this is by breathing faster, which, by the way, is not always better. When it comes to breathing, just because it's automatic does not mean that it's optimal. And if you don't have proper breathing mechanics, or a sufficient total oxygen uptake capacity, also known as VO2 max, or adequate carbon dioxide tolerance, or respiratory muscle strength in general, it can make your situation even worse. For example, due to that lower pressure of air at altitude, your diaphragm, which is the muscle right underneath your lungs and acts as the breathing motor, will need to work harder to pull air inside your lungs. The reason for this is because the air outside your lungs isn't high enough pressure to automatically work its way into your lungs. Also, because your body won't be receiving the same amount of oxygen, it responds by trying to play catch up and releases erythropoietin, or EPO, to create new red blood cells. But this takes time, which is part of what people consider the acclimatization time on the mountain. All of these factors create challenges for you when you're ascending into high altitude. If you're one of the people that has been to the high mountains, you know exactly these factors and how they can feel. Altitude leaves even the most experienced mountaineers and athletes with questions about how to train for the upcoming mountain and be prepared as possible. These questions are all the more relevant to how you should prepare if you live at or near sea level. If you're one of the many people out there with a high altitude trek coming up, or you're a runner or skier with a race on the horizon, or maybe you're a guide who's seen the altitude become a major issue for your clients, here at Recal, we've been hard at work developing a program that's perfectly suited to help people headed into altitude. So, breathe easy, my friends. There's a better solution coming for how to train for altitude. In just a few days, we'll be announcing our innovative solution. Once again, I'm Anthony, and from all of us here at Recal, we wish you nothing but the best in your upcoming adventures. See you on the mountain soon.